Hello everyone, welcome back to the Keep Productive YouTube channel. Today I'm very lucky to have Marie Poulin back here on the channel. It is really great to have you, Marie. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, it'll be great fun. Marie's going to dive into her Notion setup, and it's been a couple of maybe about 6 months since I last saw it, and it's probably evolved a little, right?
Always, right? A Notion space is never done.
Yeah, no, that's the problem.
That is the problem, yeah.
But an exciting problem to have for sure.
It's fun, yeah.
Before we move on, you've got a brand new course out, right? It's Notion Mastery. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, Notion Mastery. I mean, it's been going on since October, but I've been sort of refining it and honing it. And the more people that go through it and the more feedback I've gotten, the more I just see what use cases are kind of missing, or, it's like that missing guidebook of Notion, right? It's like what's possible, I think, at a more intermediate advanced level for people who are looking to, certainly on the personal side, get their workflows organized, but it probably leans a bit more toward people like me, the combination of business and personal together. Like, how do you manage your whole life and business in one ecosystem? So that's kind of what my intention was with Notion Mastery, was to show people kind of what I was able to do for myself and get that peace of mind and not have 800 different tools where your information lives in all sorts of different places. So it's built in Notion, and that was a bit of an experiment as well, right? Is like, how do I manage members and invite guests, and how do I make this experience where they're learning about the tool inside of the tool itself? So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
And you've added a lot of advanced templates, and we'll touch on them near the end, so people can use the timestamps to skip ahead and learn all of those brilliant templates. But maybe we can dive into some of your Notion setup. So feel free to take it away.
Mostly solopreneur, running my business out of Notion alongside some more personal private pages. So that's kind of what my setup is geared at. Very small business, team of 2-3 of us, day to day using this space. So I still kind of use the para method. I've talked about that before, like Tiago Forte's projects, areas, resources, archives. I take a lot of liberties with that, so I'm not so literal with it. I know people often ask me, like, where is the relation to your areas? And I don't worry too much about that. I've taken a lot of liberties, so I'm happy to kind of walk through some of those core pieces. So let me know if there's anything specifically that you think you'd love to see me dive into, but otherwise I can kind of walk through.
Sure, yeah. Go ahead. I'll jump in with a few questions for sure. I've got a few bubbling away.
Cool. Well, one major thing that has changed, you can see these sidebar areas. I've built up a bit of an icon system to identify what is an original database. So a solid circle is an original database. Anything that's an open circle is a page. And then anything that has the sort of combination icon here is a dashboard of sorts. So fulfillment, for example, pulls in sales database, information about products and services, etc. So these top level items basically pull in everything below. So operations does have a whimsical map of our roles and responsibilities. It's got the team embedded in it, SOPs. And I'll jump in just to kind of show you what one of these dashboards might look like. So here's our operations, team is in here, SOPs are in here, tools are in here, right? So it kind of pulls everything together just so I can see it all in one place. I think the thing that used to drive me crazy about so many tools, especially with Asana, which again, Asana is great for task management, but to see multiple pieces of information in one spot without feeling like I'm jumping around, that's where I feel like that Notion power of pulling 6 databases into one page so you can get kind of a snapshot view of what's happening is really powerful. So I've elevated dashboards to their own piece in the sidebar here. So here's a couple of the ones that I use pretty regularly here. I'm happy to dive into some of those.
I really love the concept around the icons, and that was actually one of my first questions. But I just curious, like in terms of the coloring system, did you go about making it like red for active or like purple for, I'm not, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is there any sort of method behind that?
Yeah, so the red stuff here is, yeah, action oriented, kind of day to day, activity. Fulfillment is usually anything related to delivering services to clients. So even
Okay.
in my master task database, any client related task templates tend to have a purple icon. And so just visually I can sort of, oh, that's a client task. It really helps with that sort of rapid scan of your tasks to know like
Hmm.
which things are falling in which category. I don't do it so much with like operations tasks and growth and marketing tasks, but the databases that might live inside Content Hub are all green because I think of green and growth and marketing. So there are some visual elements like that I find just help you kind of make decisions quicker and that sort of thing. So yeah, good question.
Definitely carry on.
Yeah, so we've got another change that I've made is projects now is no longer a database in the sidebar. It's a page. So now I embed projects in a different way here. So I have a size legend here, and I can see projects by size, projects by task or by type here, and then the actions that go along with it at the bottom. So it's more like a project dashboard instead of just a projects database. Because again, I personally like to see more context in one place. And so the less I can jump around, the better. So it's a small shift, but so these are less databases now and they're more advanced pages, I would say. Resources, there's a ton of resources here and a lot of these core resource databases. I get asked a lot of questions about this, right? Like how do they all connect? Can I see a map of all the connections? And so these ones here are pretty core and connect to a lot of other pages. Master tag database, I don't know if I had that when we last chatted, but it's become a pretty key part of my workspace that's connected to so many other databases. And of course, Notion's taken a little while here with this, but, and I get asked a lot of questions about this, but no, I did not make these tags in advance. These are tags that just have emerged as I use the other databases that are connected to them. I mean, Francesco will be in here under productivity probably, right? So here are the people talking about productivity, all the notes and ideas that I've created related to that topic. All the Knowledge Hub is information I'm consuming, courses I'm taking, articles I'm reading, podcasts I'm listening to that relate to that topic. My inspiration database as well. So if I see a sales page that's really interesting or a course that I really like the language of or the layout or visuals or branding, I'll save that to my inspiration database and tag that appropriately. Content that I'm creating, podcasts, tweets, things like that. So all of this kind of gets collected into a tag. So the tag becomes the glue, I guess, that kind of holds together all of these different pieces of data. So if I ever have, COVID-19, right? It's like I visually treated that one a little bit different because when I was researching that, and maybe you're the same with your Notion database when you're researching stuff and like, oh, okay, how serious is this, right? It was just a place to kind of store and track a lot of that stuff and pull it together. So it's become a really great research tool.
Yeah, I really like. I've had that problem recently with the people side of stuff because I wanted to tag some people in it, but you've made this like sort of CRM then based around the people that you work with.
Yeah, not just people that I work with, but any. Oh,
Get Notion support up.
Notion. Yeah, so the people database is a combination of clients, but also people that I'm following, people who inspire me, people I want to connect with, people I do have meetings with. So it's partly aspirational and then partly also people that are already in my network. And I'll
Yeah,
give people a role. So it might be influencer or collaborator or that sort of thing. So
sure.
I can jump in and show you the Connect dashboard. So here's the people database, but this is filtered to show anyone who has a status is top of mind. Sometimes I also do if the next check-in field is filled, then show someone here, just so I know like who has a meeting coming up, kind of who do I want to keep top of mind, who do I need to follow up with. So this is just a nice, easy way to kind of bring all those folks in at once. Student database is there too. So who are the people that have purchased the course in the last week? And then what's nice about that is when I'm doing an office hours or Zoom call and I kind of already have the face there, and my assistant does that when she'll import the sales database and she goes through and Google's adds their face. And that's a really nice touch just for like, oh, right, I remember. And I can click on those profiles and see what's their experience with Notion, how do they self-assess, and all of the intake form that I took when they first purchased the course. So it helps me be a little quicker with just, pulling in that information before I jump on in office hours. So that's one way that I've been using that people database, is just to keep people top of mind and very rapidly see any information that they've produced, or like, oh, what was that course that person had, and that sort of thing.
Brilliant. I bet the database updates that they've had in terms of the speed and changes have been much accepted by you, right?
Yeah, big time. It's always tricky, right? Because I know sometimes when they do an update, I'm like, my templates aren't applying. I'm so dependent on my templates. So those things do happen, but I just trust it's just been such a delightful influence in my own world that I sort of trust. I'm like, they're going to keep improving the system and it's going to get better. And those things that I wish existed are going to improve over time. So I think the pros have outweighed any of those cons. Definitely. For me personally. Yeah. Another one I've been using a lot lately is collect and process. And, a lot of folks have commented on Notion's lack of sort of a quick add, like where's an inbox, or how do I add things rapidly, right? So sometimes I'll actually send something to this inbox, and that's the only thing that exists in the inbox right now. Inbox gets cleared out daily and weekly for sure. Usually things get saved into the Knowledge Hub, but sometimes if it's an article I want to read, but I don't actually know, is this a thing I want to keep? Is it a thing I want to add that metadata to and summarize? I don't know. I'll add it to the inbox. And then as part of my daily process, I'll go through and I'll be like, okay, what is this? It's an article. Okay, it's kind of a long article. What I'm going to do is I'm going to schedule that for the weekend. And so sometimes I'll actually drag that right into the Knowledge Hub and say, I know that's something that I want to give time to. And I'll give myself a date. I'll say, I want to read that Saturday morning. Set a reminder for myself. Okay, we're good. And then once I read the article and add any metadata, tag it, author, add a little summary, do any highlights, that disappears from here because this is filtered to show anything where the status is empty and the last edit is within the last week. So it's just, created my own little inbox collecting process system just to kind of pay attention to how much am I putting on my plate in terms of what I'm consuming and what I want to read and all that. So wow. That's been very helpful as a new habit that I've built in my Notion space.
Definitely. I think it's really well thought out. I like that I've got a call with Tiago in a bit because he's going to help me with the way that I take notes, because the way that I'm taking notes at the moment isn't like that. You're not going through 2 steps process sort of thing to sort of remember taking the information. So that process can help you do that, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And I mean, this one is more for, I suppose, what I'm consuming, but that totally makes sense in terms of creation as well. So I have a whole content hub system, which to me feels a little messy. So you guys get to see my very messy, let's resolve that, and I'll tuck things away into these, little toggles so I don't have to see it all, but notes and ideas and prompts and things like that are all here. So there might be, things to pursue someday, maybe create content, all of that is there. And I might even drag something like this right into the content calendar and then work on it. I know we've probably talked about this before in our last call, and we've seen your content production process too, which is, it's always so interesting just to see the way, prolific content creators think through their process and what that pipeline looks like. But mine still feels a little bit messy, but as long as my notes and ideas are pulled into here, I think right now it's just filtered to last edit is within the past month. But there's a lot of different views here where I can change things up and look at content by type as well. And another thing I've started doing, I don't know that I can do it because I think there might be some personal, let's see.
Sure, yeah.
Ideal client personas, right? So when you're about to write content, I'm like, who am I writing for? So I took a couple of my students and I'm like, that was the perfect ideal person that represents who is the best fit for this course. Yeah. I have them there. So when I'm thinking about writing my newsletter, I'm already sort of primed and thinking about that person. And maybe someone who replies to every newsletter, right? And goes, that was amazing. So there's people there who really resonate with my content that if I can kind of use that to spark, spark an idea and to remember kind of who I'm writing for, I find that really helpful. So the Content Hub is a place to kind of pull in those prompts, the content, quotes and ideas, things that inspire me. I can kind of pull them in, right? And be like, oh, I haven't used these yet. Some of these quotes, right? I love this from Mariah. Consistency is the enemy of excellence. I'm like, how validating. I'm so inconsistent. That's very helpful. So really, I've just, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, do you do some of the writing itself inside of Notion, or do you save that for like another application?
I mean, I pretty much do everything in Notion. There may be better tools to really do that, but I definitely do the first draft in Notion, and then I'll move it over into ConvertKit and kind of do the final editing in there. But yeah, my process is pretty simple that way. There's not a ton of other tools I'm relying on on the content side, I guess.
That's it. Yeah. Fantastic.
All in.
There's nothing you don't use it for. I love it. And fantastic. And obviously carry on. Yep.
Yeah, and again, I'm happy to zoom in on different use cases, but the learning one has been really helpful for me as someone who I think consumes probably a ridiculous amount of content. I love taking courses. Like I just love learning. I'm always involved in at least a dozen or so different things on the go at any one time. And I've definitely been guilty of, buying courses and then do a couple modules and then they kind of sit for a while. So this is a way for me to kind of keep that stuff top of mind. So these are filtered by active courses right now. What's coming up next, right? Like some of these I bought months ago, but have been like sitting here, or maybe again, I only did one module. So it might seem silly, but it's a place for me to like, okay, what have you actually purchased? So you don't go buying another content marketing course. You've already got like 3 in your, in your knowledge.
I feel you.
So yeah, this has been helpful. And this way too, whenever I'm reading a book on the weekend or reading those articles that I've saved for myself, I can kind of come here very quickly and I'll take notes on specific books and, all that metadata is here. This is one of the few cases where it's not on Kindle and it's actually a paper book. So I will open this up and have this ready to go and I'll just be like typing in the laptop as I've got my paper book beside me. But usually I'm on Kindle and I'm doing all of my highlighting on Kindle because I use Readwise, right, which integrates with Notion, which is amazing. So all of your highlights from Medium, Kindle, Instapaper, and even tweets can be sent right to Notion, which is pretty.
All right, I didn't know that one. I'll link that one below. Readwise. I have to check that out myself.
It's very worth grabbing. Actually, I'll show you what the Readwise. So it creates it. This is all automated by Readwise, so it just sends all the books that you're reading there, and you can very quickly. What I love too is you can actually jump to the location in the Kindle app as well. So if I click on that, that opens it up right to that spot. So lots of,
I'll have to give that a go. I'm not a Kindle user, but I use Medium quite a lot. So maybe
pretty handy. Yeah. I think they make articles, tweets as well. So I think this should automatically, this pulls in your Medium stuff too. And I've linked it to the Knowledge Hub as well. I'm not really sure kind of how I want to integrate Readwise with other databases, but for now, I always know I can jump here. If like, what was that book? What was that highlight that I took? I can always jump here and check that out.
One of the questions I have for you is something you mentioned earlier about like, how do you connect them all up? Like, I'm curious, how do you go about thinking about everything and putting it all together? Is it something that you like open a new Notion page and you like make a couple of pages in database and you connect them together and then you go, right, let's make it look nice? Or is it like you get out a piece of paper sort of approach? How do you go about doing that?
Well, I think for me that I've had the same relations for so long. Like I've developed a system that through tinkering over time, you're like, I can connect my weekly agenda to my journal entries. Whoa. And over time, I found out what are the ones that make the most sense for me. And to me, it all starts with the daily journal. Daily journal is connected to the weekly agenda. And then the weekly agenda is connected to a monthly database. So there's like the time-based databases that are all connected. Yeah. And by filling out that journal every day in terms of tracking my moods, tracking my happiness, my effectiveness, that all gets rolled up then at the weekly level. So the week becomes this report. Like as I fill this stuff out, this this whole thing starts to get filled out, and it's pretty cool. So
Yeah, definitely.
I guess I've stuck to the same core databases over time. It's not like I'm making new relations all the time. So it's like tasks are connected to projects, projects are connected to clients. There's a few kind of core ones that make the most sense. So I definitely did not plan it out in advance. I definitely didn't even map it out on paper or anything like that. It's kind of evolved quite organically, and it hasn't changed a ton. Like let's open up, let's open up a Friday. And this takes me 5 minutes to fill out, right? The three
Yeah.
words, effectiveness, the energy takes me a couple minutes. The part that takes a little bit longer is like wins, challenges, gratitude. But like one fun thing I did, last month for our anniversary was I read through a year's worth of gratitude, because it's all pulled up at the monthly level. So I can just open up each month and I just read them for fun. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is hilarious. And the number of times I said like, Ben made dinner,
Yeah.
Ben made
Aw.
enchiladas, like, it's kind of interesting to look back at what are you grateful for and what are those themes that kind of keep showing up in your life over and over again.
Yeah.
I have found that quite delightful to just pay attention to, like, what has given my life meaning over time and what has stressed me out, or where do I notice there's room for improvement? What words
Yeah.
kind of keep popping up over and over again? So, you can see
I like
anything with
that.
an arrow here is where those relations are happening. So for me, the weekly agenda and the journal are kind of where the key of where it all kind of happens. Um, win the day tasks. So that's my master task database. So journals connected to tasks, tasks connected to projects. So yeah, it was kind of an organic process, but it has stayed the same really for quite some time. Every now
Mm.
and then I might introduce something new. Like the learning is something I'm experimenting with, where I'm like, oh, not just what am I consuming, but was there a nugget, like a specific thing that I learned? Could I name something
Yeah.
today that I learned? So there's still things like that where I'll experiment with, and then I'm like, I'm not really using that, delete. So it's been a
Yeah.
very organic process.
I like that. Brilliant. I'd love to know how much screen time you actually have inside of Notion during the day. Must be
Mm.
crazy.
I'll have to check my rescue
You're
time.
lafty.
Yeah.
You're lafty.
I get asked a lot about the Marie HQ as
Yeah.
well, but this is the only other thing that's like kind of changed quite a bit, and that's using personal areas that is separate from the team shared areas. So again, these are
Cool.
like my personal finances,
Mm.
my advocacy, my recreation, and so all of this kind of lives in here. So permaculture, something like the team doesn't need to see. This is my own personal stuff that I'm experimenting with, and so
Yeah.
that area will contain a number of unique dashboards or like research things that I want to go deeper into. So that's
That's really
been
nice.
a way to kind of contain it. And I love the like beautiful visuals. Like it makes me
Yeah.
inspired to use it. Like I get excited about it. I can open these up and see more detail, right? It's like, this is for me kind of a research project that I'm exploring. And so I can jump in here, add thoughts, have a place to kind of have my messy notes, but it still looks very
Yeah.
contained,
Very
right?
attractive. Yeah. And
Yeah.
how did you make those? Is it through an application that you use, or is it through Photoshop skills that you have?
Photoshop. Yeah, I have a design background, so
There we go.
I can't help. I want to make everything very pretty.
For sure. Yeah. And you went
Yeah.
about creating the icons like that as well, right?
Those are from Notion. I think it's Notion Minimal Icons. You can Google that.
Notion minimal icons. Okay.
And I colorize some of them. Like people ask me where I get them, but I just like filled in the circle, for example, and just saved that as a new icon. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a
Fantastic.
big fan of the custom icons. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a sort of sneak peek at the course. So you can see here on the sidebar, I can open up some of these if you want to get a sense of what's actually covered. So I sort of start at ground zero, like let's assume someone doesn't really know much about Notion, and I sort of address the like, let's talk about the overwhelm that happens when you are about to use this program, because maybe you've encountered this too. I don't know if you're, working with people that are using Notion, but when people are learning, there can be a lot of frustration. And sometimes people get angry at Notion, right? Because there is a learning curve, and until it clicks, you're going to be like, what's the point? This is frustrating. And I've seen that quite a bit. So
Yeah.
I have to acknowledge that in the beginning. I'm like, it might be confronting to you because you're going to be challenged in terms of, I just want it to be able to do this. Why can't I do that? So I'm like, let's acknowledge this is a learning curve. It's a very, very powerful product. So we need to kind of slow down, acknowledge that it's a brand new world here. So I kind of start at ground zero, and people can, of course, jump ahead if they want to, but there's sort of the foundational modules over here. And then we dive a lot deeper. Like there's quite a bit of content here. So personal workflows, business workflows, templates. So, and in some cases, some of these have even deeper, like there's deeper levels too, even under focus or connect or whatever. So I show people kind of how I design these dashboards as well, how you might think about designing the ones that are going to make sense for you. And then we've got the templates. And so I always get asked, like, can I just have a, all-in-one template that's the Marie Poulin template or whatever? And the tricky thing about that too is if people don't understand the core skills or inline databases versus, native databases, it can feel very overwhelming and frustrating. So I do usually warn people, like, I don't recommend using it until you're comfortable with relational databases and make sure you've gone through at least those first couple modules, but then here it is. And so people can either go right to the all-in-one, or they can take it layer by layer. And I kind of break it down by like
neat.
The planning stuff, the resource related stuff, and the areas. So I can show you the all-in-one personal HQ is meant to sort of replicate my space, but with the addition of like projects, areas, resources, archives. And then even within these in the resources database, those are all the ones that I use, right? The master tag database. And these are already pre-connected the way that
fantastic.
They're connected in my space. So that's why I'm like, make sure you understand the relations and you know what's happening when you're using it. Otherwise, you're likely to feel a bit frustrated. And at first I didn't have this video too. I'm like, here's the template, and so many questions too, right? Like, oh, well, how do you start from the goal setting side, or do you start at the right? And everyone's brain works so different. So I've tried as much as possible to kind of give people options, really reinforce that it's really, really built for my workflow. If your workflow is different or you don't run your own business, some of this stuff might not be relevant. So you're going to have to kind of take it and make it your own. So it's just a starting point, but it's all here. Like, here's how I do my 90-day planning, quarterly planning. So all of this stuff is kind of baked in. And then I make recommendations of like, drag your tasks to the sidebar and then that sort of thing. So
that's really nice. I like that.
So all the planning templates that I include here, right? Like goals, year, quarter, month, week, journal. Those are the same templates and same style that I use of my journal too. But then I tell folks, like, make it your own, have fun with it. So there's a lot here, and like not everyone is starting their podcast, or not everyone wants to do consulting with Notion too. But the idea is go through the core material, and the rest is like take what fits and leave the rest. So it can feel, I think, quite overwhelming because it's like we're covering so many different interesting use cases, but that's come out of the office hours where someone's like, how would I do this? I'm like, ooh, that's fun. Let's like see if we can make that use case and then make it available as a template to the other students. And in some cases too, there's student created resources as well. So there is actually a discussion area in here too, like have a question about how to do something. So I'm like kind of pushing the boundaries of like, what can Notion do? Course feedback is here. I wish Notion could, right? So people have a place where they can just kind of put that in there. And then I bring it back to the team. I'm like, look at this, everybody's asking for like Zapier connection and that sort of thing. So it's a great way to kind of get on the ground floor of like, what are people really struggling with Notion, and then kind of feed it back to the team. And hopefully they take that stuff seriously and adapt those features. So
lovely. Well, it looks like you've put a lot of time and attention into it. So, and it's really well thought out. So congrats on it. Yeah, it must have taken.
It feels like it's never done, it's like there's just always new use cases to play around with, but it's been really fun. And I think I love that feeling where people, where something clicks and they're like, oh my gosh, I can do this. Like it makes sense now, or that moment of clarity for people. Like, I just really love seeing that. So it's like, I want to find the way to, connect them with the information or the template or the approach that's going to make the most sense for them.
Yeah, definitely. I could see a lot of people sort of getting big brain waves over the weekend doing this. So exciting, fantastic.
The focus dashboard is one that I
Perfect.
use quite a bit too.
Yeah.
I do a lot of my task management inside of my weekly agenda, but sometimes I don't want to see any other clutter. I just want to be like,
Mm.
all right, what needs to get done today? So this is kind of my attempt at a like sort of a to-do style dashboard where you're breaking things up by like today, tomorrow, next, and I can very easily drag this stuff around too, right? I can say like, oh, that's not going to happen today, drag it into tomorrow. And this also helps me be mindful of like how many deep work sessions did I book for myself today? Because more than two, and I know it's going to be a very intense day, right? So
Yeah.
that's this view, and kind of organizing activities by the effort that it's going to take helps me kind of
Mm.
gauge what is my week and my day going to look like, and trying to be, kinder to myself and being like, really, are you going to get all of that done today? Maybe that needs to be adjusted and moved to tomorrow. And then toward the end of the week too, I can do my today, tomorrow, next, like, okay, that's going to, so I can either move
Yeah.
it around down here as part of my weekly planning, or I can do it up here as well. So if I need to quickly delegate something to my assistant too, I can literally drag that right over there. And
Oh,
that's
very
already
sweet.
pre-filtered to her. And that'll show up on her dashboard. So
Like, I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious what the garden is.
that's my that was one of the first templates that I sold. As a product, I did the planning
Yeah.
templates and then the gardening template. And this is a place for me to track what's happening in the garden, paying attention to things so I can learn from it and do things differently next year. Like, oh, I planted the seeds too late and whatever time and stuff. So it's been
Yeah.
just great for tracking that learning, that you're like, oh, I'll remember that next year, and you won't.
Yeah.
So that's been really helpful. And I've made a lot of adjustments, I think, since I made this available. But the key is having an annuals database, a perennials database, and then, again, best planting times and things like that, conditions for care, harvesting, storage. So each of those things has their own, best
Yeah.
best practices and whatnot, a master plant database, and then zones. This is very related to permaculture too. So like paying attention to the different areas of the household and what are the perennials and annuals that are planted around these different zones. Gardening activities by month. So I can just kind of track. And you'll see these are separate from my task database, right? Because when I'm doing gardening tasks, I'm in gardening mode. And so I don't need to
Yeah.
see like my other business tasks. So this is one way to kind of keep it a little bit separate.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
all kind of here,
Oh,
everything.
it's wicked. Yeah. I'm getting into gardening. Well, I need to get into gardening
Ah,
soon. So I've got the greenhouse and everything. I just need the Notion database. So
hey, I'm happy to share my gardening template with you. It's been really handy, honestly. It's been
yeah,
yeah,
really
yeah.
cool. Really cool.
Like when did I last repot the basil? Oh, there we go, July 19th.
I love it. And I've got a
uh,
question for you about like, because whenever I show like when I say normal friends, I mean it in the sense that they don't like Notion
non-notion.
or like they
Ah,
non-Notion. Not that they don't like Notion. Um, if you show your normal friends, non-Notioners, um, what do they say? What do they comment and say? I always think it's funny what they say.
I'm trying to think. I don't have a lot of non-notion friends. I've
Oh,
converted
really?
most of them. Yeah. And I mean, I live in the woods, so it's not like I see that many people face to face.
That's handy.
uh, and so if I am sharing it with someone, I guess it would be uh, if they were trying to figure out something that I'm like, oh, I think Notion would help you with that. Let me show you kind
Yeah.
of how I handle that. So I would try to woo them with like, look how beautiful and easy this is to use, and try and get them in. But there's definitely that sort of brain exploding, like, whoa, that seems like a lot. Like, whoa, I don't know how you do that. I'm just going
Yeah.
to keep doing my Google Docs over here. And I'm just like, all right, you keep doing that, but
Yeah.
it's way more fun.
Yeah. I've got no one to convert really.
uh,
Although my wife is starting to get it now, which is a massive shock, which is quite
It's like
cool.
you need to show, not tell, right? So if you're able to be like, look, we've
Yeah.
got the diaper database and the like how to take care of a baby
Yeah, that's
tips
it.
over here. Yeah.
Yeah. She mainly jumps on it when we've got like the designing the new house sort of thing. You know, it's like that sort of
Yes.
thing. It's very visual. It's like Pinterest, but better.
Yes. I've used it for like wish list and things like that. And yeah,
Yeah.
house inspiration, garden inspiration for sure. Okay, so one thing I'm experimenting with is trying to activate the stuff that I'm storing and saving in a better way. So I've I've given my tags a tag. So this is my master
Mm,
tag database, but what I do is I give something a theme, a tag of theme. So
okay.
each quarter I might kind of shift my themes a little bit, but these are kind of like content themes, right? Things I want to be writing about, things I'm paying attention to.
Yeah.
Zone Zero is a project that I'm working on too. So it's part of like building a personal OS using the principles of permaculture. So this is a place where I can kind of dump inspirational images, things that are inspiring me, PDFs, everything kind of related to that is here. And so this is kind of my place where notes and ideas, story mining, tags can all kind of live. And I don't, again, have to be jumping around to different databases. So I'm kind of pulling it in here.
Yeah.
I'm still experimenting with this too, but it's got, notes and ideas board. It's got the tag database and that sort of thing. So that's something I'm still exploring of how can I make it easier to kind of come up with ideas and store those thoughts.
My brain always gets really fried when I'm on a call with you because
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
thinking like
I have to be careful. I'm like, you could do this. You could
yeah,
do that. Yeah, it's really
because it's
hard
like
to be
no, it's
restrained.
nothing near mine. It's nothing near mine, but I'm getting there. So it's sort of like I'm picking up bits.
But I always
Definitely.
get inspired too. Like even when we had our chat too, I'm like, oh, I actually quite like how like sometimes simple is better, or in some cases just the way you've approached something or your content database. I think there's always something to be learned when you just see how someone approaches information. I'm like, oh, I never thought about it that way. That's really interesting. So I
Yeah,
think every
definitely.
setup has its own value.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. Carry on.
Okay, where to go from here? We got goals database or goals dashboard. All right, so I'd love to visually track my goals here and goal outcomes, commitments. It's just whatever context I need. What do I want to make happen in my life? Okay, what's it going to take to do that? I need to make that stuff visible. I need to figure out what support I'm going to need to do it. So a lot of these have kind of stayed pretty similar over time, but new goals, same database.
Fantastic. Yeah. So you plan goals quarterly, right?
I do. Yeah. I do most of that in my Marie HQ. So some of that
Yeah.
is team visible, but most of it is kind of um, my own planning here. So like 90-day planning, and I can see the progress for each of those goals. And, you can see most of them tend to be on the business side, but trying to have some fun and leisure ones as well.
Yeah.
Create a workout habit, need to keep that updated. So I think there we go. I'm at 9 out of 36 dance
Ooh.
dance classes to
Oh,
go.
smashing.
Yeah, and just little prompts like, does each active project have a next action, right? So it's like, oh, that one, the mentorship one doesn't have a next action.
Ooh,
So it
okay.
just kind of shows you where things could maybe fall through the cracks a little bit.
Yeah.
Just being more mindful about that.
That's really
So it
neat.
just becomes this like snapshot view of like big picture all the way down to granular. So I find
Fantastic.
that this was the stuff I had tried for so long to do inside of Asana, but I think Asana is great for that task management and checking things off your list, but
Yeah.
quarterly planning and visualizing, it just didn't quite do that. And I found Evernote wasn't quite there either. It's like I could make a list, but I know
Mm.
for myself, the visual quality of this, it matters to me, and that's the designer in me, but to process the information, I think I need to see it in a more visual way. And I think a lot of other people are kind of similar. And I think, when you see so many different Notion pros and people seem to like resonate with someone like, oh, I love their setup or the August Bradley setup or whatever. And that's because I think all of our brains work a little bit differently. And I think maybe people that are a little bit more visual tend to be like, oh, I love the way you've done that.
Yeah.
It works the way my brain works. I hear that a lot. And so that's why I think there's a lot of value to having a lot of different setups. Some people just show me the table. I don't need the images. It's distracting, right? And there's room
Yeah.
for all of that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's fantastic. Brilliant. Well, I've got two more questions. Is that right with you?
Yeah.
So I've got a bit of a tricky question to finish. Two tricky
Uh-huh.
questions. The first one is like, what are your opinions on applications like Rome research? You're thinking you were trying to escape this question, but
No, it's great. And there's lots of, Notion mastery students who have either come from Rome, figure out how to use Notion, and then are just figuring out where does Rome fit in their workflow. So I don't think it's an either or by any means. I haven't used it personally. I know my husband was experimenting with it for a bit, and I was like, traitor, just joking, of course. Like, I think it's great. All of these tools have their own amazing properties. And so I've seen some folks say Rome is great for that, the researching and daily exploration, but Notion is still the place where maybe they do their planning or task management. And also the collaboration isn't quite there. So again, it's more for like brain mapping and that rapid, whatever. Like, there's lots of different ways people can use Rome. I think it's great and can totally complement Notion. So I think it's awesome. Yeah. I'm curious to see where it evolves.
Yeah, it's definitely agree that a lot of people like August and Ali are both sort of using it together with it. And it's interesting to see how they work together for sure.
Yeah.
And the second question is about Notion's API. Have you got some like exciting ways that you think you could use it from day one? Obviously we don't know all the details.
Yeah. There's a few key cases for me where it's like sales data. It would be nice to kind of have that, like when someone purchases, they can like that's added to their account and created their little profile in the people database and that sort of thing. There's other things like, what are the main integrate? Like, I think I've worked around it for so long that I'm so used to being without it that now I'm like, oh, what's possible with it now, right? Yeah, I don't know. Or is there something specific you're kind of waiting for? That?
No. I'm curious how you use it. How you use it for like the plants, the permaculture side of stuff, and also like, I guess it would be quite interesting with fitness as well, because like if you can import like data from Apple Health or Fitbit, you could like I don't know, maybe you could like import it into your journal or other things like that. That would be quite handy.
Send journal data outward as well. I know someone had mentioned like the ability to make charts and graphs out of the journal database. So I can find information where I'm like, oh, how many times in the year did I describe my day using the word stoked? 53. Like I can see that stuff and dig it up, but it'd be cool if it was more easy to surface that information. I think calendar integration is just the simplest, easiest, like, if I make a task and assign it on this date, can I see it on my calendar, and vice versa? If someone books a Calendly event, can I see that in my Notion calendar? I think that's like, everyone is sort of like, please, can we just make this? And probably email too. Could you send an email into the Notion? That would, so simple, but would be very valuable.
And it would definitely come into play with the whole sort of note side of stuff. Yeah. I feel like at that point, that they'd have to like double the database abilities or strength, because so much stuff will be coming in. You'd be like, whoa.
I can't even imagine the chat. I know everyone gives Notion a hard time, like, come on, you said the data, like API was coming, but I think it opens up a whole can of worms, because it's not like even with a WordPress site where it saves when you're hitting save. It's like, it's being written to constantly, every second, every time you're typing a key, it's updating. So the sheer volume of data that even one person is putting in every time they're using it, exponentially, I'm like, holy moly, I do not envy that challenge.
The engineering team have got a couple of sleepless nights ahead probably.
Like, oh,
definitely. And final question is like more on the feature side of stuff. Like, is there like some features that you'd love to see yourself that are like burning?
There's some simple things, like I wish that when I move an item from one database to another that has relations, that the relations would stay. As soon as you move something out, like all of those disappear. And I move stuff like between Knowledge Hub or Notes and Ideas and stuff, and then all that metadata that I added, if it's through relations, is gone. So there's things like that that are maybe very niche to my use case. I don't know, but I'm like, that's so frustrating. Other features. Oh yeah, this is so good, because I think I get stuck in like, well, I've just worked around the limitations of the product, and I know manual them so mode. Well.
Do you wish you
timeline
saw...
view?
Oh yeah, timeline view definitely.
Timeline view
Like,
would be
I
amazing.
desperately want to see that. And what about like recurring tasks? Are you someone that would like to see something like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Again, I've found these little workarounds, or it's like, oh, I just never mark it as done, and I just reset the date and things like that. But there are very practical use cases where I'd like to see a new entry in the calendar every time, automated,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing for sure. And hopefully API will make that easier too.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, they're all the questions that I had for you because, yeah, they're the burning ones for sure. But Marie, thanks for taking the time to explore your Notion and go to deeper. Where can people find the course and also all of the details about your social media and things like that?
Yeah, it's mariepoulin.com is usually where you can find everything. You can see the courses in the top of the navigation. So mariepoulin.com/notion-mastery if you want to learn more about the course. And pretty much all the handles are at mariepoulin on Twitter, at mariepoulin on Instagram. You can find my YouTube channel as well. You can probably Google my name and Notion, and you'll probably find my YouTube videos. So
Definitely.
yeah.
Lovely, Jodie. Well, thanks, Marie, and
Yeah, thanks for having me.
no, we'll catch up soon for sure. We won't make it as
Awesome.
long this time, for
Yeah.
sure. But
Thanks so much
thanks
for
for
having
coming on.
me.